All right. We are live and we've got Spartan Systems here, who had a fantastic day yesterday up against Snafu, who had one of the better games of the day. So looks like we are getting some game audio, which is fantastic. That's what you want. And we are spectating Spock here. Now, one thing to note for the chat, we are on a little bit of an observer delay. So as you get in here and you see the chat, I'm going to be a little bit behind. Ooh, we are on Old Harbor. This is one of my favorite maps. One, I love the look of it. And then I love the combination of like urban and open play here. And Spartan Systems playing the Russian faction again. It's almost like they did it by design. Wow. Bradley with APS, trading with the BTR. Oh, the BTR, the second shot just gets off so quick, it's enough to kill the Bradley. EMD eats a shot from the Comanche. This is, okay, so this is kind of cool because this is one of my favorite. I guess the alligator must be hunting for Reki over there. You see the shift Q attack orders coming up. But this is honestly the lane that I normally play. Oh, there we go. The alligator has found the STT. I wonder if he can stay close enough to avoid the stinger being able to shoot. Might be. Oh, never mind. Big hit from the STT squad. All right, so it looks like his teammate, Great, who we saw quite a bit in kind of like the reverse view yesterday. So he's kind of playing in that central lane. All right, interesting. The Typhoon coming in with the Iglis squad. They may struggle against the STT because you got to remember the STT squad has that like elite CQB small arms stats. Right, so they are very good in close. Plus they have the Stinger. They're a good squad. Their only downside is the squad size. All right, so Boomerang and Bradley trading shots with APS. Wow, the Bradley is squishy. The Afghana APS on the B-17 gives it 4 APS charges. I'm pretty sure the Iron Fist on the Bradley only gives it 2. But otherwise, pretty even start to phase 1. KD slightly in the favor of the Russians, but territory pretty even right now. Looks like the American side has not capped up a couple of different a couple of the points they should own. Typhoon, oh, with support from the SSO squad and the Matisse missile, the range on that thing is just nuts. Alright, so yeah, it looks like up against an armor soft build here between the Bradleys. I know a lot of people like to lean on the Bradleys. Oh, this Typhoon, that is, you know what, that's a good point. That is the downside to STT. They have nothing anti-vehicle. All right, looks like I can finally see the chat here with the 5-minute delay, but it looks like we are live on Twitch and YouTube. The conversation we were having as like a team was whether or not, because you want to have, oh nice, the Javelin squad hops out early. Wow, the Matisse missile reorients. Javelin squad, Jav comes in, whiffs on the Vede. That's a terrible trade for the American player. That's like 160 points there between the Javelin team and that Warpig. Another Bradley to support. It looks like all those RRC Rangers just get annihilated between the Terminator and the SSO. Yeah, it really looks like this guards Moto Build, this, I guess, is VDV motorized on the flank here, and then Greats running guards motorized. Really doing a good job of countering the American armor soft build out here. Yeah, these Desantniki assault squads. They're, you know, they're only 5-man squads, but you group them together, they do have answers to pretty much everything. I love the way that Spock here is using these VDV Typhoons to just provide a little bit of fire support, a little bit of shock and panic. And the Bradleys are not holding up against all of these Russian ATGMs. The Maws not being able to get through the APS and that BMP-3, that Javelin squad's almost, yep, knocked out. Looks like a decent amount of like mortar fire coming in now. Great pushing with a Barbarous, a Terminator, and some armored Recce. Now we see the Russian team with a pretty significant KD advantage, and they're starting to gain the terrain advantage here. You see a third US player rolling over to this side, and that's potentially dangerous because if these two players from Spartan Systems can hold and push on this side and draw the attention of 3 players, the other side won't last long either. Oh, the supply gets found and knocked out, so there is a little bit of tube artillery in the back. It looks like some counter battery coming in. The Russians, another Bradley gets knocked out. Mi-28 dodges a Stinger and backs up. The Desantniki in the forest finding Mechanized Riflemen. I think the Desantniki are going to win that one. Mechanized Riflemen knock out the Razvedka squad, but that's not going to end up being a useful trade. It looks like some cruise missiles or seed coming in from the American side, taken care of via the OSA. Oh yeah, and this is a nice kind of dual lane push here. You see Spock sliding over into the middle a little bit, so you've got essentially 2 players playing 2 lanes apiece, and the American side trying to deal with it with 3 players. Now the third Russian player comes over. Alright, so Su-57 coming in. I see a lot of players flip the point of view when they're trying to line up airstrikes, where the cluster cruise is going. First 2 cruise missiles out. No seed launch, though. They're targeting that Abrams. Couple of big hits. Abrams almost knocked out. God, it is really disorienting when you're spectating in this point of view, though. So, some cluster MLRS into the woodline. BRDM hunting for... finds a Comanche. He's going to hide in the smoke and move the Igla squad over. And as we've seen with so many other games with Spartan Systems, you've got, I mean, they have a pretty decent advantage going into the end of phase 1 here. Could possibly pick up another destruction objective point, but really it's the territory. Oh, that S-300, that's an EX, but it's getting a little close. S-300 not able to maintain sight, but Russians doing a good job of identifying enemy units on the back line. And look at this, all of these light vehicles, and you see all the chrysanthemas out from Great. He was doing that quite a bit yesterday as well. Nice quick reaction on the BRDM to throw the smoke to keep the Comanche from... Oh, but he pulled too far into the smoke. Another Hellfire coming in, that's a dead BRDM. OSA moving up with the stabilized radar. That that little missile launcher, the that 113 with the ATGM, just whiffing, shots went straight into the ground. Ooh, but the tube artillery is not, doing a little bit of damage to the Russian side. 2.5 minutes left in phase 1. Things not boding well for the US side already. At a huge territory disadvantage and a KD disadvantage. Yeah, the Sherman VK, unless they can get in the same building, gonna suffer against the special tactics. Oh, the tow vehicle, but it gets flanked by the boomerang, and the BRDM will survive. Look at this. I really like what Spock's doing with the counter recce here on the flank. That's an M182 set, but there are a lot of Russian missiles coming in targeting that element. There's the STT. Mi-24 forced to back up, but the BRDM is just going to do a lot of damage, and the STT have no anti-vehicle. Another Su-57 strike coming in. Interesting. He's leaving it. Oh, there we go. Now it's going to low altitude. Looks like he's targeting the SEP. Yeah, the cruise missiles are going to come in where he's predicting. It looks like he has a good read on where that Abrams is going to go. Both of those cluster crews. Oh my goodness. Just read the US player's mind there. Really well done. That's a fantastic trade for Spock. Like you can just see it backing up. Really, really well done. And you can see from these little supply tractors on the flank there, you know, more supply coming. So he's going to use his recce to try to seek that out. 45 seconds left in the phase. Actually, the Americans have battled back. Oh, there goes the BRDM. Comanche strike on the back line. The OSA, I think he obviously needs to heal it up, but the OSA, if he can keep creeping that forward, it'll be a nice counter to the Comanche. And I love the team play here. You see, you know, 3 different colors pushing onto Fox. It's a nice spot, especially because of where the US players spawn on this map. If you can control Fox, you can force some really, really awkward, you know, kind of reinforcement lanes for the Americans. Really force them to take their time, go out of their way, especially some of these slower units like the Abrams. AMPV with Mech Engineer shows up in the middle. Will likely go down here to the Sherman VK. Yeah, they get the AMPV. The engineers, though, better at close combat and just a little bit chonkier. We see Iron Thunder's being lased, which I think is for the tornado there. Let's see if it tracks in. Yep, that's a dead Iron Thunder. Nice, well done. And they get the second one just based on scatter. Alright, so a little bit of luck. Yeah, ZMA, I just realized that as well. He's playing on a slightly contracted aspect ratio. That's interesting. Iglis squad found out by a Bradley, but these unescorted American vehicles, even with the APS, have been suffering against all the Russian missile units. Looks like the OS is going to resupply and creep forward. You got a couple of attack helicopters coming in, and they're a nice hard counter to the Bradley recce vehicle. Yeah, and actually no AP. Oh, it does have APS, but APS doesn't help with the rockets. You know, I kind of wondered about that, how, oh, they Ranger snipers found out STT in the open firing some stingers, and the Bradley able to use its main cannon, but great also reinforcing with his attack helicopters. Looks like that alligator's going to get away. The CFE knocked out. Mi-28 is going to find the Cav scouts. Oh, that's the Lemur thermobaric. Makes quick work of the Cav scouts in the open, and now those STT, they're trying to get away. There's nothing. Oh, they find the resupply, immediately get smoked. This is a dangerous push here. Wow, is there a minimum range on that thermobaric? That looked really close. But now helicopters on the back line. See Patriot, Shorad. I think they're, yeah, killer eggs respond, but not before the Mi-28 does a ton of damage, and the Russian team spots out a lot of supporting units. That little helicopter push buys Spartan Systems a ton of space to expand into. And you see, they're already got the cap advantage. Now you've got more F-15s coming in. Killer Egg's going to remain on the flank here. This Eagle is... It's funny, they need to be respotted from a health perspective, but still have access to the Eagle, which will push away that Killer Egg, no problem. And I love the combination, like the team laser designation here. You got teammates calling out targets for each other. You know, and you don't necessarily need communication for that if you've constantly got recce lasing enemy units as they spot them. And then the Mi-24 here with the laser is also a super capable unit. Oh, he's going hunting for those Patriots. Finds a SHORAD. But that might be the end of the Mi-24. Wow, it dodges a little bit. Wow, it hits the supply. But the Bradley SHORAD's going to get the kill. But the Russians have marked it, so I would expect artillery to hit, if not cruise missiles, onto that position. And what you're really seeing the difference here is, like, it's not necessarily APM, but the level of activity, right? You see Spock not really giving the American team any time to reset. He's kind of constantly pushing on that flank with recce units, with helicopters, as he supports the teammates push in the middle. And you see, like, these forests are now infested with snipers and reconnaissance units. Yeah, I mean, this is the way to play, especially if you've got the points. Although in this phase, the American side way up on KD at the moment. It hasn't felt that way, but maybe it's been, maybe their fortunes have shifted on the opposite side of the map. Oh, that Abrams running into multiple Sturmoviki squads there in the wood line. Their RPGs, more than enough to get through that armor. RRC there supposedly to escort, but they also just kind of go down. Now the mechanical engineers come in, and the engineers with the shotguns will do just fine. AMPV in the wood line finds that that Rozvedka squad. So the US side not giving up on the counter-recce mission, but the Russians have closed the KD gap. Then pretty much as soon as I talk about it, you see now it is evened out. Those engineers are almost certainly done. Yeah. Yeah, and what you're seeing here, this is the advantage of having, like, territorial control, is now you're forcing the enemy to constantly drive into positions where you have spotting, you have units in cover, right? So you see them coming and you can adjust your own positioning ahead of time. Wow, those SSO getting tracked down. You got to give it to, or hand it to the American side. They're still working through with recce units, although the Chrysanthema just smokes Scav Scouts. They're bleeding for every inch of forest they're trying to, but they're not quitting. KD now in the Russians' favor. We got about 8 minutes left in this phase. Yeah, and you can see this forward position on Fox. You just have the ability to interdict all these American units coming in. The Americans, it looks like, at least on this side of the map, really leaning into Abrams, like some more heavier armor. These Javs taking some laser guided rounds here. It looks like they don't necessarily see it. There they go. They pop out of the building, sprinting into the wood line. The laser unfortunately doesn't follow the Jav squad. It's staying on the building. They might have been able to get a couple of additional hits there. Oh, the PTO Matisse squad. I like that. I think that's a really good choice for Spock here. Oh, that F-16 strike, I didn't get to see. It looked like rock eyes. Oh my god, immediately gets crushed. That's the biggest problem. The F-16s, they can get and deliver their payload, but they almost certainly pay for it every time. It looks like those IFVs were destroyed on the back end. So here comes the armored push back onto Fox. The timing of it is a little rough. We see SU-57 coming in with the cluster crews, probably to help deal with those Abrams. You see Spock flipping his viewpoint around. He's done a really good job so far of kind of predicting where he thinks that tank's going to go. You see the clusters coming in, the seed missiles go out as well. So, didn't see a kill indicator there, but he got in, got a couple of shots off. You know, the nasty thing about those cluster crews as well is even if you don't get the kill, it usually results in a lot of crits on the enemy. Yeah. So, yeah, this is, you know, the part of the faction design. You would think like VDV, lighter vehicles, and that's true, but the motorized infantry, you still get access to all these different IFEs. And so as the Russian side, you're not really lacking for some resilient armor, especially missile armed armor. All right, I just want to highlight one thing. You see that Bradley CFE on the opposite side of that tree line. Something that frustrates me about some of the maps is you would think like, oh, that tree line should block sight. But it restricts it a little bit, but not totally. And so there are times when you think, I guarantee you that American players like, all right, I'm going to stop before the tree line, and then I'll move up when I kind of have my forces set. He doesn't realize he's visible, and now we're going to see the Tornado S missiles come in, and that Bradley is almost certainly done with the laser-guided rockets. Fortunately, somehow it's just, they kind of whiff, and don't get direct hits, so the Bradley survives that. The VDV, you know, it's Desantniki, Sturmoviki, those are the assault squads. They said a little bit squishy, but they're nice glass cannon units. They do a lot of damage. They have good anti-armor. So CJ comes in, looks like kind of a one-off from the Americans. I'm not seeing anything else to kind of follow it in. KD very even right now, at least in this phase. Alright, so it looks like Spock's going to bring out Su-35 just to kind of maintain air soup. Oh, the VDV Spetsnaz sitting on that supply. And actually with the help of... Oh, I was going to say they were doing okay until they got destroyed. So the Russians going to knock out that supply. Here we go. Here's a little bit of an American push. These are more CJs coming in for seed. Su-35 there to try to do some damage. It looks like the American jet's going to get away, as does the Su-35. Now F-35 coming in, but I can't see what it's targeting. Lots of tube already coming in. Americans still fighting hard over Foxtrot. It feels like the American team's just a little bit spread out here. Now Su-35, remember, once that F-35 spotted, stealth doesn't really mean anything, so Su-35 able to get some shots off and force it away. Big push here onto Fox. Combination of Bradleys, Ranger RRC. BRDM. Spots the Bradley. Its main gun doing a little bit of damage. Dodges the tow with a smoke. Now with a second BRDM and the K-17 here. You see really good micro from Spock managing that engagement. I think the Bradley realizes he's in a bad spot, so he's backing out slightly. Oh, F-35 comes in, hits the boomerang. Nice strike there from the F-35. Su-35 going in after it. It doesn't look like he's going to get a kill there. Americans actually up on KD. 2.5 minutes left in this phase. And it's hard to tell because we've been so focused on the flank. But, oh, BRDM. Yeah, that's a dead Bradley. Immobilized by the BRDM. It looks like on the opposite side of the map, the Americans are faring a little bit better. I love the tenacity that the red player here, he's not giving up, and he continues to infiltrate recon units in across the map, making sure that Spock has to worry about, like, these flank players really have to play wide, right? They don't have they can't afford to give up or drop attention. This net coordinate squad is down to a single missile. Probably needs to head back for resupply. That Abrams spotted in the wood line and the Bradley. It looks like some rockets potentially coming in there. The Sprut is backing away to try not to spook it. You kind of want the rockets to hit, right? So it looks like we're going to see the Mi-28 slide over. More recce going out. And Snafu has evened out the points for phase 2. Right now, nobody is going to get anything from this phase, which is pretty impressive given the advantage that Spartan Systems had going into phase 2. The difference being, I know at least for Spock, he's got a ton of points banked up. Oh, some big hits onto supply. Great store force back. Mi-28 also dealing with some stingers. Here an Su-57 flying around over there. Russian side takes the lead in KD. They got 45 seconds to try to add this up. Oh, a Ranger Javelin team versus a PTO Matisse team. Plus the AMPV. Yeah, that Matisse squad is almost certainly destroyed. I wonder if he can get it looks like he might get away, but he's not wasting a bunch of micro effort on it. Oh, look at this big push here in the middle. I wonder if that's Vera with the Marines and the Smalls. We saw him use that spec combination to good effect yesterday. Oh, Barbara's taking some hits. They got a Spetsnaz Uru AT squad in there. 5 seconds left in the phase, and it doesn't look like anybody gonna get... Oh, the Russians grab a point back just in time to get... They got 4 points. They must have gotten the KD score as well. So 6-point lead going into phase 3. Oh, if yesterday's game is any indication, Snafu, this is right where they want him. So many rockets hitting that one piece of forest. And there's a lot there for Vera to deal with. A lot of lasers as well. That Barbarous taking some hits from the AMPV. AMPV's... Oh, wow. The second missile whiffs. And the Barbarous only carries, I think it's 4 ATGMs. And the AMPV stays alive just via APS. Oh, Spock, let me watch this engagement. I want to see... What's air soup? Sounds delicious. Sounds like it has very few calories. All right. There's Mi-28 trying to clean up that Javelin squad. Actually, Mi-28's a great choice for that with the Lemur. Looks like we're going to see... He thinks about an attack round, decides against it, and you see the push coming up. The Diversanti team in the wood line there providing quite a bit of kind of early warning. Frontline seems to have stabilized a little bit. I don't think the Americans realize just how dug in the Russian team is here. AMPV moving up. They've spotted one SSO squad in the wood line and panicked them. The engineers, they're doing okay now. They like immediately get panicked by the Sturmoviki. and slowly lose that fight. Some artillery coming in. AMPV clean up one SSO squad. This is a nice push. I worry that this is potentially too early in the phase for the Americans. It looks like, ooh, big F-35 strike. S-300's knocked out. Yeah, and actually the timing for those airstrikes is really good because you got the 10-minute cooldown. So, you know, running a bunch of airstrikes at the 12-13 minute mark means you'll get the availability for more airstrikes going into the final couple minutes of the phase. Su-35 up in the air, lobbing some missiles at these F-15s that are flying across. Ooh, 2 consecutive hits. F-15 just knocked out. And just like that, the Russian side takes advantage on KD. So US side able to battle back, take Fox. Now these RRC squads in the woodline against SSO, they should actually do okay. I can't tell if they're in the CQB loadout or not. The SSO almost certainly in the standoff loadout with the Matisse missile. So it looks like the SSO will go down, but there's a follow-up, a couple of BMOT with SSO and some Motostrelki. So those RRC not going to be able to stay there forever. Oh, supplies get blown up, but it doesn't do a ton of damage. Yeah, RRC about to get knocked out there. But really good work continuing on the kind of the flank. And you see Spock, he's a little bit spread out here. And it's one of those things, if you've got the micro to manage multiple engagements across the map, it's always super helpful for your team. It's really tough in Broken Arrow, though. Wow, the Su-35 just not missing with any of its missiles that CJ gets knocked out. That's rough. Hey, thank you, Equal. So we see more Desantnik squads here onto Juliet, as it looks like the red player is starting to make a little bit of a resumed push here. I think the American side realizes, you know, winning on KD is going to be rough. They need to win on Cap, but it's not looking good. They're down. They need to be up by 3 objective points by the time this game ends. Tornado, those missiles, there's a little bit of friendly fire there. Tornado missiles doing a lot of damage, and now some counter barrage from the US side. Now an AMPV. There's almost certainly engineers in that AMPV. Bradley moving forward. This fight over Juliet can get really rough. You see normally like a lot of artillery get dropped on this forest. There's our STT. They do a good job shocking the Desantniki there. You see 3 American players pushing this lane. Now an Su-57 coming in. Some more cluster crews on the way. Oh wow, all those infantry in the woodline get smoked. Combination of RRC. And that AMPV gets knocked out with the cluster crews. Su-57 really like in no danger of getting caught there. Oh, and that Bradley down to just a fraction health and immobilized. So that's some free points for the Russians. More AMPVs there in the wood line. Zmash, both teams here are 2400 plus in terms of ELO. Alright, so we see some Delta Force in the wood line. US bringing out the big guns, trying to clear all these infantry out. Artillery coming in. Wow, the scatter on that tube artillery just doing favors to the Russian team. Look at this, more determined push. We're seeing Abrams now and Bradley's join in. I wonder if we're going to see another Su-57 here. Spock's got the points for it. Immobilize Barbarous. And the Americans capturing Hotel. They're trading a ton in terms of KD for it, though. So they've evened out the capture score, but they are way behind the Russians. They have bled hard for this. Those Moto Strelky RRC Rangers doing a really good job. Remember, if they're in the CQC loadout, they do a ton of damage up close. Ranger Maw is just trying to get one last shot off on that Terminator, and they get killed by the Spetsnaz before they can. Abrams in the wood line. Yeah, the Americans taking absolutely grievous losses. Just trying to grab Juliet and Hotel. Oh, those STT, they're just kind of out of place there. The threat is infantry and armor, and the STT without any sort of anti-armor capability, just not in a good spot. More rockets coming in. Looks like the Spetsnaz squad may go down to some friendly fire. Abrams panicked from the AGS squad there in the building. More tornado rockets coming in onto Juliet. His engineers annihilated. But the Americans able to grab Juliet. Oh my gosh, look at the KD. Well, for a second I thought it was about to be 3 objective points for the Russians. Another AMPV moving up. Engineers to hop in the buildings to deal with these Desantniki. But the RPGs mean that AMPV is going to take a lot of damage. Microed well. Well, it was, and then the Desantniki get inside the engineers, and actually the engineers get knocked out by the VDV Rozvedka. There's that VDV Spetsnaz. Another Su-35 here, lobbing missiles at the F-35, which somehow will get away with like 2 health. Carl, most of this tournament is managed on Discord. There is a challenge bracket for this tournament, but this is kind of the qualifying round right now. So the capture points kind of evens out briefly. Looks like the Americans made some gains, but they are, as an Abrams goes down. Oh, cruise missiles coming in, but kind of a big whiff from the JASMs. So Russians unscathed. Russians way up on KD. Now we're going to see another Su-57. They're hunting for these Abrams. And then the pack as well. Oh, wow. That Abrams gets smoked. I didn't even see what hit it. Su-57 launching its cluster cruise on the Abrams in the wood line here. And then backing away. Just one going out. And but a good hit. And that's some huge point trades. And that SU still has... and there we go. It launches another cruise missile. It takes some hits. F-15 chases it down. It looks like the F-15 probably going to go down to the tour here. Yep. I don't know. You'll take an F-15C for an Su-57 for sure. The problem is that SU did what it needed to do before it was shot down. Russians taking back Juliet here, and they've got a huge KD buffer. Huge KD buffer to spend here to grab this terrain. Man, you just look at all these units in the forest. It's just infested, and the Americans trying to clean it out with infantry against all of these Russian vehicles. Look at this: Kurganets, Barbarous, Terminator, and now a T-80 as well. Oh, those Maws, they can't advance if they don't play that. Looks like they're going to smoke and back out. AMPV Javelin goes out. Kills the Skrzet. Yep, Sprut cleans that up. All that infantry in the wood line just getting annihilated by the combined push here. And now Russians up 3 full objective points on KD. So it looks like Snafu probably not going to be able to pull a rabbit out of a hat here. Down this far on KD and down on Cap as well. The magic from yesterday, a little bit harder to pull off. Spartan Systems has done a really good job playing well together. And to be fair, Snafu did a fantastic job kind of battling back after some really rough early game positioning. But I think they just bled too hard for it. And you see how far advanced the Russian squad is in the middle. And that's just making life very difficult for the US team for sure. Yeah, it looks like is that a DAP and a Comanche in the back line. Well, Patriot Pack 2 getting targeted with some rocket artillery as well. And it doesn't look like Spartan Systems is going to back out at all. One more push looks like by the Americans going for hotel here. Honarius, there was one really fantastic game yesterday where the US won. Oh, Colin Marks, thank you. I need to go get a drink, but I'll redeem it shortly. Another SU-57 coming in. I think this is smart. He just wants to blunt this attack on hotel. 3 Desantniki Shrimaviki squads there. That's a lot of mixed firepower. SU-57 still just kind of loitering in the back. It looks like he's going to go for a couple of these Bradleys. And then immediately back out. Desantniki doing work against these infantry in the open. Wow, the stream quality is just dying here. Look at all those cruise missiles coming in from the Russian side. 45 seconds left. Want some incendiary rounds as well. Those RRC are not long for this world. Helicopters for the US getting some kills on the flank, but they're also taking some missiles. Russians going to hold on to hotel here. Americans bringing in more fighters on the back end. But 15 seconds left, and this is going to end up, despite being a very, very hard-fought game for most of the game, the final score is going to be super lopsided. And so you see the US team throw the GG, and that's going to do it for this one. Oh, ends up being 18-0. Man. Did not feel like that was going to be like that. So look at the KD here. Wolf 3K with about 2.5. He's kind of the dedicated support player for Spartan Systems. If we go back here, hopefully they show us a little bit more of the match results. But yeah, this VDV motorized build, you know, I think that the biggest difference. Yeah, so 2.84 for Wolf 3K. That's going to be the end of the stream there. So let me hide this. And I'll make you guys look at my face for a minute. So yeah, and this is nice. He ended the stream. Actually, I'll unhide this. He ended the stream right here on KD. So you can take a look at the specs that we're using. You know, actually, so Vera was playing Armor Airborne. Who's the guy in the middle? This is Dagon Naleyev was playing this Marine Striker build. Yeah, Vera Armor Airborne, the only guy with a positive KD, and the only thing I can guess is that he was leveraging that for a lot of the air power. Yeah, and then look at the ELO, right? Like you see 2,400 plus on average for this team, up against 2,800 here, plus the team coordination, just so good on the Russian side. We saw this from Spartan Systems yesterday. and a decent mix of specs, right? You only see one coastal player, Coastal VDV. That makes sense. You know, again, support player, so that's a ton of air support there. I'm using my mouse. I wonder, can I do this? You guys can actually see server capture cursor. It's that. Oh, it's not capturing the mouse cursor. Apologies, everyone. But kind of going through here. Really, I'm just looking at Wolf 3K, right? This build, VDV Coastal, very efficient support build. And then if you look at everything else, right? It's guards Moto, Moto VDV, guards VDV, guards Moto. You know, the Moto VDV, like you still have with the Russian IFVs, you still have the armor, the resilience, and the firepower to support your infantry. And then the motorized infantry plus the VDV infantry, all that like Russian soft infantry is very strong, very resilient. The SSO with their like thermobaric Matisse just delete enemy infantry. It is kind of wild. And on the US side, you saw even the armor heavy builds. I think it was we were watching a lot of Locustron there on the flank, trying to lean on the Bradleys as inexpensive, high firepower, but half the APS charges as the Russian IFVs. And so they just end up bleeding out like crazy. So, all right, we're going to pause it there. And then I'm going to go load up another match. I think we got time. Essentially got time for one more of these. So stick around, everyone. We will be right back. All right. We have a game. Um, so right now I can't display it because they are loading in. And so I'm not going to display it here. But we are going to see LGOP, little group of paratroopers, I assume, and F Star, who we casted yesterday. So, now we're here. Let me see if I can pull up the bracket here for the team. And boom. All right. I'll move my stupid face out of the way. And so this is the bracket that we've currently got set up, everyone. So as you can see, the way this is generally running, it is a round robin, and they're basically using this to seed for the knockout portion of the tournament here. So yesterday, let's see, the previous round was on Cold Harbor. Not a ton of very close matches. For those of you who joined us yesterday, for round 2, Meandering River, we casted this Snafu TU-22 match. This was really, really good. It appears to have been the only close game all day. We did cast F-Star versus Spartan System yesterday as well. It was one of those, it started close and started to snowball a little bit. And then it appears that a lot of these have been very snowbally games. So, from the way that the organizers are running this, as teams win, they play other teams that previously won. So you see LGOP won in round 2, Monkey 5 won in round 2. They got matched up here in round 3 this morning. And Monkey 5 won pretty convincingly. 36-0. Oof, that's spicy. So interesting. I think kind of the comeback mechanic of the game has resulted in some of these games essentially being they end up kind of steamrolling and being one-sided. We've seen some tight games, but it's been a little rough. So this is the bracket. It's on challenge. Again, we're in the qualifier round, so also kind of working out some of the kinks with casting. Obviously heavily reliant on Discord, but at least we're getting some Discord audio. So and then because of the setup, I'm in the Discord channel with the team, so I'm fully deafened, which at this point really prevents any sort of like co-casting. But so it looks like LGOP getting set up here for the actual match. And so once they are set, they're 1080p, 30 FPS. I'm going to have to, I'm going to spend a little bit of time messing with these settings to make sure that we've got some higher quality here. So while we're loading, I would say, if you've got questions, ask away. Unfortunately, we're on a stream delay for quality purposes and anti-cheating purposes, which is it's a little unfortunate that we have to do that. And it's frustrated me to some extent because I really enjoyed the interaction with the chat, but it's something we got to manage. All right, so let's see. I'm going to kind of work here to see what we have options as far as the stream goes. Looking for that sweet 1480p availability. Oh, cheers. All right. we've got so in the interest of competition, I'm not going to put up right now. I've got a 1440p stream from one of the LGOP guys, which I'm a fan of. Oh, thank you, Iron Fist. I appreciate you, bro. He's messing with his deck right now, so I am not gonna throw this up. But Alvati, thank you. So as soon as the game actually loads in, we'll put the actual stream up so y'all can see. But yeah, I don't want to highlight his potential build in case the adversary is watching, which is unfortunate. We got to do that again, but stream sniping remains a thing, which is lame. These teams are obviously prepping and kind of discussing what they want to do for the next match. Let me pull up one more time here. All right, so LGOP, their history. All right, so they came in, they lost in round 1 to Maipu Dolari. Then they won against Cola Super Deep Elo. Pretty convincing on Meandering River. They face off against Monkey 5 in round 3, who the only team to beat Monkey 5 has been Spartan Systems, and Spartan Systems has been kind of the team of the tournament so far. 22-0 over Monkey 5, 34-0 over F-Star, 34-0 over 18-0 over Snafu earlier today. That was a really hard fought game. Really well played on both sides. And then round 4. So I think Spartan Systems is the only undefeated team here. Yeah, they lost. Ooga Booga. Actually, I take it back. Ooga Booga is also undefeated. They are playing Spartan System in round 4 as well. So that has the makings of potentially a very good match. It would be really cool if there was a replay system so we could save these games and come back and cast them. It's nice to know when you've got a game that's going to be really close, you can kind of see the end result. My preference has always been to cast live because I don't want to know the ending. I want to be surprised. But as you can see from kind of this outline here, there have been a handful of less competitive games so far today. And we'll go ahead and put on some of this awesome Broken Arrow soundtrack. Artemy player roster and names. That's a great question. On this challenge page, you should be able to go in. So let me mess with this real quick. You should be able to go in on here. Match details. Oh, here we go. Here are the results. Nice. A couple of the teams have dropped from the tournament already. So I'm unable to actually see the player list here, which is unfortunate. So top 8 during quals. They're trying to identify the top 8 teams. Top 4 places during tournament held to World Championship. This is kind of cool, right? Like a group phase going into a knockout phase here. But all right, let's see where we're at with Discord. All right, so they are still waiting to load in, it appears. So again, I'm not going to put them up on here. Not put them on blast. All right. Yeah, Snafu. Saw them play BMS. Monkey 5. TU22M3 only lost to Snafu. So right now, LGOP and F-Star, right, both teams need a win in this round to be competitive to make it onto the next phase, get above that 8th place line. And we will see. I do want to shout out all the different people involved in running this tournament. You know, I'm sure for those of you who are watching, especially on delay, it can seem a little bit frustrating waiting for these games to start, but there's a lot going on in the scenes. You see them managing 16 different teams this weekend, you know, across a million different time zones, trying to get everyone lined up. So there is a lot involved here in the process. All right, I'm seeing players join in. Let me make sure I've got the best stream here. So one player at 1080p, 1440, 720. All right. So point of view is going to be Ranch here. And we're going to swap over to Discord. I'm going to leave Discord muted here for a minute. Go. Boom. All right. Players getting locked in. Let me shrink my face. Perfect. All right. Plovic, that was the player from F-Star that we spectated yesterday. All right. Someone actually mentioned earlier, like, man, I haven't seen a US team win. Of the 4 matches that I've casted, I've seen 1 US win and 3 Russian wins. I know part of the balance discussion has been the strength of the US faction at higher elos, and the tournament play is a good way to test that out because players are going to be experimenting less and using very coordinated builds. Here, you know, we see the spec combinations. Ranch calling it 21. Nice. Smart deck name. So 2 armor airborne here, 1 marine airborne, 1 marine cav, 1 cav airborne. This is really interesting from Dodo. I haven't seen this, but remember the cav actually has a lot of air points and the spec as well. So that could be really interesting point of view. We are spectating Ranch here, so right around 2100 elo. Looks like the Russian team across the board between 2400 and 2600. No surprise here to see the four players that have loaded in running guards. So 2 guard coastal, guard moto, guard VDV. Saw quite a few players run kind of the guard moto combination, or moto VDV has been good. You know, the only spec that I haven't seen a ton of has been the mechanized. Oh goodness, another guard VDV. And it looks like we're going to see the hard meta here, right? It makes sense. Both these teams, their future in this tournament on the line in this game. You know, don't, as they said in the great movie Dodgeball, right? Can't hold anything back now. Wait, that was a water boy. Doesn't matter. I wonder if we're going to see any of the US players swap specs. Spectre is the last one to ready up here. Yeah, a little bit of an elo disparity, but it's okay. It's going to be what it is. Let's turn the game volume up. We are going to get some game audio, so once we load in, I will turn the music off. All right, gents, let's send it. Let's get into the game. Well, I'm good running this this music here for a minute. I'm a big fan of this song. Ignalina power plant. Let's go. Another one of my favorite maps. All right, I'm gonna pause this. I'm gonna load up the Discord audio. Sounds like Ranch is running. He's running some music in the background as well, so hopefully we'll get that. I'm gonna turn the volume up here. Make sure you guys can actually hear some of the game audio. It is nice. Having done some casting using VDO, which makes it really difficult to run audio. It's been nice running Discord, being able to hear the game. Although streaming quality always kind of tough without a dedicated observer mode, but we will deal with it. All right, so we are seeing here, and he made himself green. So armor airborne. Looks like some ISV, some Cav Scouts, some air coming in. Now this is an interesting approach because when I've played this map, one player normally focuses on hotel and managing the forest between Echo and hotel. So the fact that they are doubling up here tells you a little bit about how they think the enemy is going to play. Now this map is a little, because it's kind of a rectangle, it's a little bit narrower, so there's less room for a flank, although if you got amphibious vehicles, you can swim in that water. And it looks like a deep dive coming in from F-Star. SU-35 going to lob a long-range missile and then bounce. And the missile just whiffs. You got multiple F-15Cs from these various airborne specializations running AMRAAMs and Sidewinders. Relatively inexpensive, good air tax aircraft. And now after that initial push, they're going to go look. Now remember, your optics have to be at high altitude to get that 12,000 range. When you're at low altitude with an airplane, you're limited to 4,000. Thank you for the follow, Joth. And it looks like the Russian side has backed their airplanes out. You're not seeing anything here. Seeing some helicopters. That Mi-28 could be dead very shortly. Sidewinder hits, another Sidewinder hits. That's a dead Mi-28. It had apparently some Iglas on it. F-15C took some damage. But normally when you see a Russian side without much of an air tax, you gotta be worried about a very, very heavy IFV push. All right, so we're going to see this F-15 again scouting. I prefer to see the team scout with an F-15 with still full health. They're a little bit more forgiving. You're not trading anything out for the other team. But, these guys are better than me at the game for sure. So they're gonna have some good team coordination here. I like the use of ISVs early. They're very quick vehicles. You can get some scouts. Some infantry unit forward, and the armor airborne spec, very good in range defense. Good range on the NGSW, good range on their Carl Gustav. So it's a faction that if you can grab territory early, you can make it very painful for the Russians to push you off. Oh, there is a big IFV push on the flank. Comanche gets some hits in. Threatened a little bit by the Tor there. Out on the flank. Yep, and now we're seeing meeting engagements across the map here. I like the thought process of posting up those paratroopers outside of Echo, right? Because you're not, by not capping it, you're not tipping off the enemy that you're that far forward, although it looks like he's going to run into the point now. Remember, there's, you know, there's no value, there's no like resource value in holding the point early. You just need to have it at the end of the phase. All right. H64E here trying to help blunt the armor push. A lot of smoke going down. Those ACVs, you got to be careful with them. They're relatively quick, but they are very squishy. And you also don't want that Guardian to close too much. There's the first kill. So initial setup for the US side, the ranch who we're spectating is playing pretty wide. It's his Guardian supporting his teammate, who looks is running a Marine airborne build onto Hotel. Yeah, the player colors are always fun. Everyone kind of setting their own. Mainly because the default colors are red for all enemies, which really need to have different enemy player colors. So you can see how, you know, if you're getting doubled. Wow, the NGSW airborne, Carl Gustav doing a lot of damage to that Terminator. It is squeaking away. Oh, the Guardian needs to be careful. The Derevitsia. Oof. Oh, that must be a Sosna. I really wish they would update the icon when you transition versions of that weapon. Because I'm at, you know, at range, I'm not concerned about a Derevitsia with a helicopter, but I am concerned about a Sosna. That thing just ripple fires. ISV gets knocked out. But I like the idea here of getting all these units in the wood line. They just don't have very good sight for these weapons squads, right? The 240 machine guns and the javelins. You want to put them in spots where they have very clean line of sight. And this part of the section of the map, it can be a little bit difficult to do that. Oh, here are the Tu-22 cruise missiles. Some big hits. Fortunately, the squad in the church still alive, but not for long with that tank there. There's an Abrams to support. More cruise missiles coming in on Echo. I think this is something we're going to see a fair amount of. You saw multiple coastal specs. You saw multiple guards, armor specs. Oh no, Ryan up. US definitely needs to think about getting an air superiority fighter up to deal with some of those drones. AMPV bringing forward some engineers, but haven't seen too much in the way of Russian infantry so far. Now we're going to see coastal infantry on Hotel and Chorny Obreri. The Cav scouts, smartly putting them on hold fire. That you don't necessarily want them to engage that Eagle squad and give that away early. Something got shot down there. You see a meteor splashed to Earth. And the Russian squad, F-Star, gonna take an early lead in terms of KD. LGOP getting set in some defensive positions, but actually on the left flank, losing some terrain to the Russians. And I think they have really weighted their effort on the right. So I would not be surprised to see them slide as a team, slide left into those lanes just a little bit. I wonder what the approach is going to be. I feel like there's room to maybe creep some of these infantry forward, but what I feel like Ranch is really lacking is like anti-infantry firepower here. He is good to deal with, you know, kind of the infantry spam approach that you can see from guards or coastal. With all the Carl Gustavs he's got with the javelins there. But if the Russians make a big infantry push, especially with smoke, that range advantage is going to melt away. And we're starting to see Red over here running a VDV spec, pushing deep with some Sturmoviki and VDV. Cav scouts find a BMO, whiff a couple of shots. Oh, Shorad taking some missile fire from the Barbarous. Oh yeah, those Cav Scouts just annihilated. Yeah, and actually, and now we're starting to see there's some, a good hit from the Javelin knocking out that troop carrier. Weapon squad bounds away, smart play. That's a VMF, that's a very strong Recce squad, but it's forced to back out. We're going to see some Force Recon Marines move up. BMOT, there's something, there must be an infiltration on that left flank there. Team pinging it like crazy. We see anti-air popping in the rear, more cruise missiles coming in, Tu-22, and Force, a little bit of a whiff on the Force Recon. A Lav ATGM goes down, but not insane damage from that particular Tu-22 strike. Although KD creeping steadily in the Russian team's favor as far as we go this phase. And I know for those of you who have been watching all these casts, I know I sound a little bit like a broken record, but KD not incredibly important early on in phase 1. It's not worth that many points. The more important thing is certainly be able to hold key terrain. Ooh, AMPV and now some Carl Gustavs from NGSW coming in. The Terminator's going to smoke itself off, and those paratroopers are going to pursue. Let's see if they can get some shots off. Terminator backs away from one squad. Nice flank there with NGSW. That is a dead Terminator for sure. As soon as one squad finishes, there we go, dead Terminator. Well done. I like the micro there on the infantry, splitting them up so that at least one squad gets on the side armor. That's just absolutely textbook. A combination of Chorny Beretti and Marines, Morpehi focusing on hotel there. But it looks like Ranch is doing a good job holding this gap, although these, you gotta be careful. This Engineering Sturmoviki in standoff mode with their RPG, they do a ton of damage to enemy or to US vehicles as well as infantry. So that Abrams on its own, and now you see a Katran moving over at M1A2 SEP V3, no trophy. Oh, more cruise missiles, and there goes the US presence on hotel. A Patriot going out on the Tu-160, but or is that a one? It looks like a 160. Oh, smart. He's rotated the AMPV with the engineers over. Wow, the SEP V3 taking a lot of damage. Forced to back away, but good use of the smoke in the Shorad in position. So again, good micro from Ranch here to manage the threats. He does need, it looks like he's going to back up, use his teammates' supply. Yeah, he needs to heal that up and not lose it. Barbara's here. Single NGSW squad. They're already bleeding down quite a bit. Carl Gustav shots coming in, but not enough. And actually, the AMPV with engineers is also not a good counter to this Barbarous. Yeah, probably need to back away there. The APS is going to keep that Javelin from being effective. Ooh, Su-57 on a seed run takes one hit, but still alive. And now there's nothing left to shoot at it. So the Su-57 is going to get away. Arigato, thank you for the sub. I appreciate you. All right. And it looks like, yep. So the US team is sliding over to the left just a little bit, right? You see the kind of the forest green player there moving on to Delta. Obviously there is there's a Russian unit there on that point because neither side is able to, or the US side is not able to contest it. Now we've got Ranch building up his forces here. He's going to start running into these Russian IFEs. That BMOT, that thing's, remember, it's got T-72 armor. And the Sturmoviki actually getting bled down at range by the paratroopers. Nice. The engineer's going to hop in that building. Maybe they'll be able to clean up that squad. Yep. And the paratrooper's going to pick up the kill there. Those engineers probably need to back out, as do the paratroopers. Meanwhile, the purple player there with that coastal build making lots of progress on hotel. I'll be interested to see how the US team counters this. If they continue to focus left, all those cruise missiles keep slamming into blue, the Marine airborne build over on hotel. And that's, remember, the Marine spec and the airborne spec really lack good short adds, like good intercept capability, right? Because the LAV AD, it can do a little bit, but it's mainly used in stingers. So you don't have PIVADs, you don't have CRAM, you don't have like the Bradley or the Striker short add with the autocannon. So that combination is going to struggle on that flank with the constant cruise missile barrages we're seeing from the Russian team. Russians with a full KD advantage going into the end of phase 1 here. But the terrain difference, I mean, that's what's really kind of telling. Engineers, I like this. Backing out the paras, let the engineers go deal with the Motostrelki. Now move the paras forward. Oh man, they're just getting bled by that B-17. This might not work out all that well. Engineers doing some damage to the Motostrelki, but they do get traded out, and now these paras are stuck. That's an atrocious engagement area between two Kurganets, Sturmoviki, Motostrelki, plus all of the APS that the Kurganets have, making life really difficult. AMPV with engineers, though, so those Sturmoviki are potentially in trouble. I wonder if it almost feels like Pink, Plovic, the Pink player, that he's running the CQC, like the assault shield and flashbang build on his engineering, which actually I think like you really don't need to run that. The RPG loadout is much better. It gives them the ability to kind of deal with some enemy armor. Good hits from the Carl Gustav. The paras holding their own, knocking out a Kurganets, and having the SEP V3 there certainly doesn't hurt. Another engineer goes down. Paras trying to help. The SEP basically trying to get that BM3 off of them. The aim time is so slow, but it does clean up the kill. Paras trying to clean up the engineering. Well, 20 seconds left. It actually looks like the US player on hotel may be able to grab that back, but there's a US point that's uncaptured in the back somewhere, and that is also problematic. Gonna prevent them. Oh, there's a Russian unit there pausing the cap. So no cap points for the US team going into phase 1, but none for the Russians either. 3 points, all for KD. Phase 2, this is where it gets really tight. It's all about positioning going into phase 3. In these like closely fought games. Oh, those paras. I don't even think he realizes he's being shot at from the wood line because they don't see the enemy. An EX coming in, launching JASMs, but it is going way far forward. Looks like he's gonna get away. He's actually using the AMRAMs to go after that SU. And the EX gonna go back to base. So fortunate. More cruise missiles. That's a Tu-22. Pack 3 shoots down. Look at that. All 3 get shot down by the Pack 3. And because the Pack 3 runs terminal guide, it's obviously not going to kill the Tu-22. But he can pack up the Pack 3 and the missile will still track in flight, as opposed to the Pack 2, which is semi-active and won't function that way. Oh, the SEP V3 out of smoke. Barbarous catches it out of position with a missile. That's a big pickup for the Russian squad. So now I think it looks like Ranch may have to consider sliding back over towards hotel a little bit. The Pink player applying some pressure there. God, there's still one. There must be a hotel that's uncapped. Oh, a Tor barrage comes in. And there's an attempt at counter battery onto that Patriot, but because he moved it, it's okay. Shorehead eats a seed missile from that Su-57. M8 Thunderbolt providing some DPS over on hotel. Yeah, oh no, the Pack 3 gets caught out by a BRDM. Guardian's gonna counter fire. and does some damage with the rockets, but should probably... Oh no, that's a Derevitsia. Wow. Derevitsia just does so much damage to Guardian. And look at that. The Russians, just like that, have taken over the KD. That's F star. And actually, they're in the lead now from a capping perspective. They've made a lot of progress on this left flank. You saw it there briefly. Oh, Felix, I would love an observer mode for this game. I think that the ranch here is trying to insinuate that there's a lot of potential for infiltration here on the flank. I am glad he's bringing in some supply. He's got a lot of partial health units. Supply's been kind of a big gap for him so far. Did he bring in the Global Hawk? That's risky considering the air defense network. Ooh, some big rockets coming in. Wow, and the scatter are going to be exactly what the Russian team needs. That looks like that could be a line. Yeah, that's a creeping barrage. So lots of partial damage and a lot of panic. Thank you, JKO. So we're seeing the Paras doing some damage to these IFEs. But once the engineering get in close, weapon squad goes down. This is a nice push here from Plovik, really leaning on that guard spec to do some damage. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure, and you know, all these Russian IFEs, the Barbarous B-17, 4 APS charges, and then by the time, you know, you get that second shot off, a lot of times your squad is shocked or panicked. And that's really, really rough. Another para squad goes down. Cav scouts. Barbarous has gotten in tight. APS protects it again. That Barbarous is just rolling through the back line here. And this push is huge because there's not a lot in support that can actually deal with the Barbarous. Barbarous smokes off the jabs. More APS charges. And smokes off again. Good micro from Plovik there. Really, he's making this difficult. And that was a good push to take up a lot of terrain. Mark 17. Team coming in, trying to panic some of these infantry. And you see the really smart play here from Plovik. He's backing the infantry out. I'm gonna pick him up with some of these infantry carriers. Yeah, like this Barbarous. Oh, another short-range rocket barrage coming in. That weapons squad gonna eat multiple rounds, as will the AGS-17 here. Abrams, it does get the Barbarous, and actually this para squad, even though they're a ranged squad, panicked from that grenade launcher. The para's going to pick that up. So nice little counter assault. and James, I hear you. The end of phase 1 wasn't great, but we have seen teams come back. I think, you know, as this tournament goes on, the way that the brackets are set up, like winning teams play winning teams, losing teams play losing teams. We're getting closer to even matches. And so I think this game, there's an opportunity for the US team here to make up the early losses. They're getting some good kills. Although this T-90 here, there's not much that can really deal with this. Although the Paras, if he's able to get the Paras into this building, he really needs this Abrams. I think he's like kind of hoping that the Abrams will just eat up that supply before it gets spotted. Oh, are those chrysanthemas? They are. At least the Force Recon guys have spotted them. Multiple chrysanthemas are tough to deal with if you don't have good fire support. And Marine Airborne really lacking in ground-based fire support. Obviously, you have a great air deck with that spec combination. Workout. I like that. Yeah, out of smoke means you get smoked. Exactly right. All right, now we see Ranch getting a little bit reestablished here, which I like to see. Pack 3 moving up, a Humvee with a tow. The problem with this spec combination, armor airborne, is you don't, like, your close range infantry are your engineers, but they don't have good AT, and your airborne squads running the Carl Gustav. I think clearing out this forest is going to be a pain for Ranch here, especially as these UAZs move through. And now the BMPT, the Terminator, onto Echo. And PV with Engineers not the answer for that. These NGSW might be. You see how he's combining squads into this building, try to help reduce their rate of panic. Oh, that Tu-22. The Pack 3 get the final... No, won't get the final hit. Loses sight at the end there. Nice. Para's going to move forward. They get a couple of good hits in on the Terminator. Oh, that Derivatia, excuse me. Work out the question on when you choose an M8 over an Abrams. You know, the M8 more of a glass cannon. The Abrams are a little chonkier. But I think if you have clean sightlines and some cover, an M8 can be really, really nice. You definitely, because of how light the armor is, even with APS, you're going to want to keep it at range. Whereas with the Abrams, you can allow it to come in close from time to time. Man, these American air defense just whiffing constantly on these Russian jets. Russian KD now through the roof here. Engine, you know, this is a nice counterattack. Oh, these airborne just getting beat up a little bit. Engineers doing some good damage, but now they're taking fire from the T-90, which is not going to work out well in their favor. All of these Terminators as well with the grenade launchers just panicking. Those engineers are going to get cleaned up. And now, with the Russians making progress on the flank positions, they're up multiple objective points from capping as well. KD for the Americans feels like a lost cause here. Now, one thing to note, right, oh man, as those paratroopers get annihilated by grenade launchers, if you tell your units to sprint, they will actually exit buildings quicker. And so when you're trying to pile them out, when they're under fire and engagement, they won't win. Make sure you're using that sprint command to give them the opportunity to get out of the engagement area. Wow, so some really far advanced Spetsnaz VMF found on that side. Looks like the Marine airborne player here struggling a little bit now to deal with the guards' coastal push on Hotel. And so James Chumley, I think you're basically seeing the Americans get rolled back slowly across the map here, despite the, you know, early advanced positioning. Those Spetsnaz AMF. You know, if you're the American team, you have an opportunity here. You got 5 minutes left in this phase. You're not going to really be able to roll back the KD, but you got to make a decision on how you want to go. Is there anything you can do at the end of phase 2 here? Can you try to get a 3v2 somewhere to gather back some terrain? Because you got to keep this game winnable, right? And so if you let them get a 12-point lead, then you need to completely win phase 3, which is not ideal. But if you can knock out a couple of the capture points and flip them, you can keep the game in a position where it's winnable in phase 3. This is tough though. All right, so we see Strike Eagle coming in. Oh, this could be really good. That's a lot of, it's Rock Eyes and Snake Eyes. There are some vehicles there. Hopefully we'll see a couple of good kills there from the Strike Eagle. Nice pickup. Looks like about 700 points of destruction there for the American side. Oh, more cruise missiles coming in. Pack 3 knocks one of them down and then is out of munitions. Supply, the micro supply game also kind of beaten up this US squad. LGOP. F-Star, we see the Chrysanthema lays on the far side. Oh, there, a nice shot onto the Barbarous. But these rocket barrages, and look at this, using the creeping barrage, like a very, very short creeping range. Ooh, that hurts. Abrams annihilated by a combination of the rocket artillery and the Barbarous. Oh, that's rough. And the rockets continue to come in, crushing these airborne squads. You know, I'm always hoping for a close game and a close finish here, but this has been rough for the American side in phase 2 here. Yeah, and this is, you know, this is the risk here. Like, you don't want to try to piecemeal your units in, especially because you'll just end up kind of feeding destruction points to enemy. But if you're also forced to clump up, and kind of the way the forest and the cover balances around that point, it really favors the person coming from the Russian side right now. You know, there's that one spot of cover there is very clumped up, and you're very easily subjected to Russian arty. Speaking of which, a toss barrage coming in on Hotel blunts the American push there. A minute 30 left in this phase, and you know, I am the eternal optimist, but this is looking a little rough. The one thing that I really haven't seen, and given it's an airborne spec, you'd expect a pretty high quantity of helicopters in the deck. We've seen that, you know, occasionally like a single Guardian and the Derivatia or the Sosna doing some damage to kind of counter that. I would really like to see if there's any way to use more. Oh no, this Terminator coming in is just going to chew these squads up. Even just attacking ground with a grenade launcher. Look at that. That's rough. It smokes off the Javelin. More getting launched. One more, but it's going to smoke that off as well. That Terminator did a ton of damage. Oh, this is there were a couple of units traded up. Man, the KD, if they could get more than 3 points for this phase, the F-star would almost certainly. This has been rough. Carl, thank you. I will stretch it out. Oh. Oh. All right. It's well timed going into phase 3. All right. So, you know, 13 points is doable, but it's tough. I think, you know, what you're really hoping for is a slight terrain advantage, and you can maybe pick up 6 or 9 points based on capture going into phase 3, kind of acknowledging that if you're going to capture points, you're going to have to give up something in the way of KD. Well, Kirkenes gets doubled up by javelins and smoked, but now there's a T-80 coming through here, and you see all the air defense, all these cruise missiles getting knocked down, and the Russian guard spec just continues to push here. Oof. All right, we're gonna see some helicopters. Oh, deep recce. There's a BRDM there. I don't know if Ranch saw it. His teammate almost certainly didn't. That's bad news. Now, the Ohotnik, it's got Iglas on it. The Guardian, the first Stinger just goes straight into the dirt. Abrams trying to kill the Motostrelki. Stingers traded for Iglas. There's Igla squads in the wood line. All these, the Guardian goes down. The Ohotnik looks like it's gonna be able to get away. And actually, the other Guardian who, you know, Blue is microing over on Hotel. He's not even seeing this. That's a 300-point helicopter. Gets knocked out by a low health Mi-28. Oh man, that's just not, that is not the engagement that the American side needed right now. Yeah, and looking at the mini map, it looks like the US side on the far left flank has made some progress, but they've got to start to swing into the middle. And one thing that's relatively unique about Broken Arrow is like unit movement speeds really matter. So when you see all of these kind of like heavy, like armor heavy specs, what they don't have is the ability to pivot between points quickly. Right, the MPV is a good vehicle, but it's not particularly fast. Where on the US side you have some vehicles that are quick, but they're usually very lightly armored, like the Strikers and like the soft ground vehicles. And you can kind of see in the bottom right of the screen that the Americans also have an infiltration problem. ZMA, the 50 cal, if you got clear sight lines, it can panic infantry relatively quickly, but I would almost always go with the AGS. Oh, all that fire onto those engineers. They get a couple of infantry kills. They try to bounce away, but they are stuck. That's a rough spot to be pinned down in. Holy guacamole, thank you. Oof. Yeah, the Terminators with the grenade launchers, they do so much damage because they immediately panic that infantry, and they've got great range on the grenade launcher as well. Oh man. 12 minutes left. I just got an alert from my wife, huge centipede. So I'm gonna go deal with that briefly. I'm gonna leave the stream up here. Fortunately, I don't have to control the camera. I will be right back. The centipede danger has been eliminated. Let's see where we're at. Wow. Wow, I leave for 2 minutes and the Americans totally reset the KD. That's fantastic. This is why the delay is driving me crazy. Because I would love to know in chat what actually flipped that around. All right. Americans still light on terrain here. Oh, looks like the blue player on the flank there making some progress. So what worries me here is that there's probably, you can hear the TOS barrage coming in. There's probably another big mechanized push coming from the Russian side. Actually, you see Slovik, the pink player, pivoting a little bit towards Delta. And so, yeah, that's probably what happened, is the US players had made some progress on the left flank, and the Russians kind of flipped their orientation to try to deal with that. Carl, on the Russian bias piece, do you mean in terms of the casting or in terms of the performance of the units? I would say that I think some of the strongest Russian specs are just like the meta Russian specs are just really good. And in tournament play, you're not going to see players leave anything up to chance, right? They're going to use the best stuff they can. They're not going to be like experimenting with new decks. And so I think that's why you're seeing you know, all those guards vehicles have so much armor, and then you're seeing all these Russian fire support units as well. And the Russian infantry is not, you know, there are US infantry units that are better, but there are still no slouches, and they're good multi-role infantry with the ability to fight infantry and vehicles at the same time. I would love to see something done about that Derivatia down there. Oh, a BRDM. There's a recce problem there that the Americans are dealing with. Carl Gustav. Wow. The Gustav shot finally gets off. The SEP V3, you know, without the trophy, relying on smoke, that Cornet squad in the building can see over the forest. Now, the V3's got those HESH rounds, or HE rounds, which do additional damage to infantry and cover. That's the advantage of the V3 over the V2. So, you know, in a lot of competitive decks, I see the V3 run without trophy as a good multi-role to clear out infantry and lighter vehicles, and then the V2 run with trophy to help deal with enemy vehicles. I don't know if that's how this particular deck is set up. James, you comment on the javelins in the close quarters. I think that's fair. Now, what it's worth noting is that within about 550 meters, the javelins will still shoot, but they shoot on kind of like a low trajectory rather than the top attack. And so now you've got to defeat the frontal armor. So they can still do okay, but they travel much slower than RPGs. I would like to see the Carl Gustav. Sometimes what the APS works against and what it doesn't kind of confuses me. All right, we're going to see a Rockeye and Snake Eye run here from the F-15. Gets a couple of good kills. As long as it gets away, that's worth it. It's a little bit low on health, but I think it's going to get back to base. So nice push there. KD actually now in favor of the American squad. They're down on cap. Remember, they need a 5 objective point balance to win this game. So they've got to do a lot of point capturing right now, and they need to have, I think, a 2,000 point lead in destruction score. It's a tall order, but we're seeing some progress made. Oh, AMPV finds some Motostrelki. Wow, look at that. The AMPV 2-shot by the Motostrelki. Those Motostrelki, they're in a bad way right now, pinned between paratroopers and engineers. There's some Riberic rounds. Those are some dead motor riflemen. That is an armada. T-14 by Echo, and that's what I was worried about. The Russians having access to a lot of points to feed their larger units. Actually, it looks like the US has reestablished their AA net to some extent. Some of these Russian jets getting knocked out. Echo is captured. KD's still dead even. It looks like based on the minimap, US players making a big push out on the left flank as well. You see Ranch identifying some tube artillery for potential cruise missile strikes. That BMOT coming in, that's help. Man, that SEP really needs repairs. You don't want to give 300 points up for a SEP, which at this point with a Barbarous there. Those pairs need to get out of that building. Yeah, BMOT engineers pop out. Wow, it's so resistant to the handheld AT. Engineering taking some hits from the SEP, but wow. I think Ranch is dropping aim points for cruise missiles would be my guess. There we go. There are some supplies. Abrams going to be able to heal up in contact. Got to be careful of supply getting triggered. A couple of bombs come in. AD now slightly in favor of the Russian side. Everything's trying to heal up. Man, you got to be careful crunching everything in around one supply point. Looks like another toss barrage on the flank. US had made progress on the left flank, but about to lose that point. KD slowly creeping in favor of the Russian side. I know they've got a big lead, but this game is still going to be tight. We got 3 minutes left. At this point, you're not really going to be able to drive anything onto the map. So it either needs to be already here It looks like Ranch is... Oh, no. Oh, no, that hurts. Then that SU-24 gonna get away as well. Maybe the PAC-3 will get it? No. Oh, that's unfortunate. 2:30 left in the game. At this point, you know, the engineers are denying the capture on Echo. Wow. The US players on the left must have gotten a bunch of kills because we've seen KD go back to an even balance. Oh, the alligator on the flank is chewing up everything that blue has. And 2 minutes left. Oh, those paratroopers, they find a B-17 and their Carl Gustav knocked out by the APS. They get another shot off, but they are going to be destroyed by that autocannon. I don't think the Americans are going to be able to get 9 points from capping and 6 points from KD in the last minute 45 here, even with all the air support in the world. And see, the players on the left flank, if you look at the minimap, they appear to be making quite a bit of progress. Oh man, the purple player is infiltrated all the way into the rear. That's an Armada. Guardian shooting at it, just not doing any damage. And now Kurganet's getting in close. That Guardian is in way too tight. Now it's going to start eating. For some reason, focusing on the infantry. Oh, knocked out. Combination of the UAs. That's SEP V3. I understand the thought process here, but man, it's just not even going to get anywhere near the battle in time. A minute left. More cruise missiles coming in. One gets shot down. One kills a unit. Oh, now VMF onto Alpha. Russians just took a huge lead in terms of KD. 45 seconds left, and look at the purple player not only grabbing hotel but challenging on Alpha in the south. Yeah, US team gonna throw the GG. It was well played. It was close for most of phase 3 there, but phase 2 just really in the Russian team's favor, and that forces some unfortunate engagements on the US side. Wow, feels bad. Patriot shooting at this Tu-22 and unable to do a thing about it as the Russians continue to clean up. We're going to see some JASMs come in from the F-15EX. Maybe he's going to chase, go for the AMRAAM kill. But that's it. That's the game. And it's going to be a 25-0 win for F-Star. Wow. Look at these KD on the US side, just rough across the board. I wonder if it was the airborne spec in such a forested map because they like to play at range. I wonder if that had something to do with it. On the Russian side, 2 guard coastal, 2 guard VDV, and 1 guard motorized, who is kind of the guy playing against us. Look at that KD, right? That guard motorized just trades so well. So, all right, folks, that is gonna do it. I think some of the other casters aligned with the Broken Arrow World Series might pick up some of the round 5 games, but that's gonna do it for my coverage today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Obviously the VODs are available on Twitch and YouTube. I did skinny down a really good match from yesterday that was very close, and I'm gonna hang that as an individual video, so please check that out if you can. Really appreciate everyone who showed up to watch this. Looking forward to seeing the knockout round and some of these teams, especially as we get into stuff like best of 3s. That should be quite a bit of fun. So again, thanks everyone for watching. We're gonna close out here. And we'll catch y'all in the next one.